Here's something that people don't talk about enough. On commercial sets, the cinematographer often ends up directing the talent more than you think. This is not in a way that replaces the director, but in a way that protects the image. Here, let's get into it. Sometimes the shoot lines up where I'm both the director and the DP. And on this shoot, that was the case. This was a project for a local college, and on this job, we decided to pair the RED V-Raptor with the Cooke Full Frame Anamorphics. A little bit of an expensive project, but hey, as a cinematographer, pitching that to the director, myself, I said, that's a great idea. No. But one thing became very clear. It was my job to keep the image and the performance inseparable. But first, some coffee. Parkville coffee, house roast. The car, it handled real good. Lucky for me, this project didn't require any dialogue. Most of my direction for this was all performance-based. Go from here to there. Sit down and open up a book. How about you go through some clothing racks? And once you finally hit this one, choose it. But it was all about the timing of that. This project was all about embedding their brand's story within the image. So for coffee stations, we literally put join so-and-so college now. We literally branded that on products. For backpacks, we had keychains, we had books with proper printouts, we had t-shirts made specifically telling a story in the line of the shirts that we used. This definitely was a unique style for a commercial, and something that, as a cinematographer who needs to frame and point these, it felt right to also be the director of photography for this. And one of the things I've been saying for years, there is a reason why we call it director of photography. More often than not, on commercial sets, you're asking the talent, hey, drop a shoulder. Hey, take a half step in. Hey, if you take a little beat back or make a pause before you enter this frame, that'll really help me. And by the way, the lighting is up here. So when you land looking this way, it's great, but if it doesn't hurt your performance, could you tweak a little bit so that I can get that light wraps around the other side of your face? I just want you to look as beautiful as possible. You gotta be careful with this style or this approach, especially if you're working with kids and adults. It's important to streamline that communication. With adults, they're way more easier to just give a couple notes here and there. But for kids, the more information you put on them, I feel like the harder it is for them to comprehend. So just let your director or your first AD handle that. Speaking of kids, in one of our setups, we had this little girl who makes a cameo in a couple of shots where we're shooting through a window, her and her dad, coloring and while he's studying. And then we have from behind, just what she's coloring. And of course our establishing shot. Ideally, we try to give her this direction that she would just be tuned into her coloring book. But the take that we ended up going with was when she was distracted, looking over her shoulder at what was going on in this coffee shop. Although we were doing a dolly in and she's turning her shoulder, she's the only one kind of breaking character, it worked. We're like, you know what, this is cute. You can only say so much, but also I'd rather keep it natural. This is what she wanted to do, and she didn't look at the lens, so it's fine. It looked good. These opportunities to both direct and DP projects don't come up that often. But when they do, I feel like it's on jobs where there isn't hardly any dialogue. More just action-based kind of shots. And for those kind of shoots, I feel like sometimes it's okay to be both. But here, let's get into it. But here's the reality. The camera sees everything. So if the talent is off their line or off their mark and the lighting is not proper, then it's okay to quietly and collaboratively encourage them to go one step further or rotate their shoulders or open up towards camera. This is something you get to build trust with the director, because more often than not, I feel like on commercial sets, the director could be watching the performance next to camera. So their eyes are just seeing how it's all playing out and not seeing it through the monitor. And so it's your job as the director of photography to make sure that everything is being balanced and well balanced. And it's this intuition, it's this collaboration, and it's this creative freedom to some degree that you have to say, it would be better if it landed here. And that trust between you and the director, typically they'll be like, okay, yeah, you're here to protect the image and I'm here to protect the story and get the performances. And so when you're wearing both hats of the cinematographer and director, then it's your job to stay on top of all of those things. But on jobs like this, that's where I leaned in heavily with the producer and the agency to keep close eyes on the monitor to protect the storyboarded shots that we had planned, while I managed to keep framing, keep mental notes on performance, and everything else as a cinematographer has to stay aware of during every single shot. So there was a lot going on, but it was something that I felt, prepared for. I feel like there's more kind of content out there that where a cinematographer can also be both. I feel like sometimes tabletop stuff or anything slow motion or high speed, you're really just protecting the shot. I will say the amount of work that goes into a commercial shoot before the cinematographer is brought on from the director's point of view is a ton. Just dipping my toes into this job a little bit as having to wear both hats, quadrupled the amount of meetings before set, the amount of emails, before and even after the commercial wraps is just through the roof when you wear the hat of director. So for all of you out there who are, I can do both, there's a reason why the industries run so long on the platform of director and director of photography working together and not, let's just combine those two. Plus, the more things you put in your head, the more responsibilities you put on, the more likely that things might slip. For this project, I think we did an excellent job combining, protecting, and executing on the vision and the storyboards we set out to create. But I got one more pro tip for you if you're a cinematographer who's also trying to direct on a project. Check this out. So you're a cinematographer looking to direct a project? Here's my little tip. Learn all the talents' names. I know you're used to just talking to your crew, typically just your keys and often your first AC. So you might already know their names. And whenever there's that third grip and electric guy, you keep forgetting his name, you can just say, best boy or electric, can I get this, can I get that? You don't even have to know their name more often than not. But as the director, you gotta know the talents' names. And that's where it became a little bit of a learning curve for me as someone who is not great with names to begin with, but you had to get that cheat sheet going. Instead of normally where I put my call sheet on my binder for every shoot day, my binder is pretty dope. I put call sheet, all the pages we're doing, and the back I have Velcroed is my iPad that has Artemis Pro, the boards, and everything else that we might need for the day. This time I put talents' names. And boy, when you have a lot of extras as the director, you don't have to know every single name if they're just extras, but it's important to. And especially when you're dealing with a few on-screen talent, it's good to know their name. So my little tip to you is take the time, study it before you get to set. All right, back to it. The best commercial sets feel collaborative, where the director protects performance and the DP shapes the light. And in all that in between, there's overlap. And that overlap is where you get the best quality projects. So if you want to see some more of the work that I've directed and DP'd, you can check out StevenCGrass.com. Thanks for watching. Peace.